Have you ever given your heart and soul to helping someone only to end up feeling drained, unappreciated, or even betrayed? It is a painful and all too common experience. Perhaps it was that friend who only called when they needed something, or that colleague who sounded so sincere, yet twisted your goodwill to their advantage. You might have thought through it as, "I'm doing the right thing, I'm being kind." Yet kindness without boundaries at times can feel like giving water to any person who pokes holes in the bucket. It never fills, and you're left empty. Here's the brutal truth. Not everyone who asks for help is genuinely needy, and not every plea is worthy of your time, energy, or emotional investment. We are living in a world where compassion can be exploited, and where some people look at kindness as a weakness to manipulate rather than as a strength to cherish. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Part of that strength comes from being able to discern who is really worthy of your help, and who just takes advantage of your goodwill. Today, we will discuss something difficult but important. The 7 types of people you should definitely stop helping. These people either drain your energy, manipulate your feelings, or use your good deeds to their advantage. But here's the positive side of things. By identifying these patterns, you can set boundaries to protect your emotional well-being and make sure your acts of kindness matter. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize these toxic behaviors, but also learn how to preserve your inner peace while remaining a positive force in the world. So, grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's uncover the truth about protecting your spirit and choosing where to invest your compassion. Number 1. The manipulator. Let's start with the first kind of person to be leery of helping, the manipulator. Now, this person is an absolute expert at pulling the strings of your emotions. They are not simply asking for help. They are wording it, toning it, and even using their bodies in such a manner to make you feel obligated to step in. They know just how to make you doubt yourself, how to yank on your guilt strings, and leave you thinking, "If I don't help them, am I selfish?" But the truth is, manipulators don't think of your kindness as a virtue. They look at it as a tool, and they will use that tool to their advantage, often at your expense. Think about it. Have you ever encountered someone who makes you feel as though you are obligating them for something by twisting your words? Maybe they even slightly remind you of the time they helped you, even when their so-called favor was minimal, just to make them guilty into doing something far larger in return. Here's an example. A friend calls you up and says, "Remember when I lent you that $10 2 years ago? Well, I really need you to do this big favor for me." Alternatively, they will say things like, "I thought you were such a good person. I didn't expect you to let me down like this." That stings, doesn't it? And that's the point. It is emotional blackmail, plain and simple. Now, don't get me wrong. We all make mistakes. And there's a difference between someone asking for genuine help and someone manipulating you. The manipulator has his kick in making you feel like you'll lose their approval or love if you say no. But as Epictetus wisely said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. What does that mean here? It means through action showing that you will not be pushed to cross your boundaries, regardless of how much someone tries to guilt or shame you. Now, how are you going to manage the manipulator? First of all, know the signs. Pay attention to how you feel after every interaction. If you constantly feel drained, anxious, or like you're walking on eggshells, that's a major warning. Setting boundaries is next. It's okay to say no without explaining. And lastly, let's remember, true friends and loved ones do not have to manipulate you in order to get your help. They respect your time and your limits. It's not selfish, it's required. As much as we may want to be there for others, first we have to ask ourselves, is this help coming from a place of genuine care, or am I being pulled into someone else's web of control? And it's in recognizing those manipulators in your life that you take back your time, your energy, and your freedom to truly give your attention to what matters. Number 2, the constant victim. This is the person whose life is one big crisis. No matter how much help they get, your time, your advice, even your resources, it's never enough. Their problems are like a bottomless pit. They just keep coming back for more, leaving you emotionally bankrupt and wondering, why isn't anything I'm doing making a difference? The constant victim thrives in their identity as someone who's been wronged by the world. You'll often hear them say things like, nothing ever goes my way, or people are always out to get me. While these statements might tug at your empathy at first, over time, you'll notice a pattern. They're not looking for solutions. They're looking for someone to carry their burdens for them. And often, that someone is you. Perhaps you've given them solid advice about how to improve a financial struggle, fix a relationship, or otherwise better their situation. Instead, they would find reasons why your suggestions simply won't work. Maybe they even blame you for not understanding their particular challenges. This sets them up in a cycle where they complain, you try to help, they resist, and then it starts over again. Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth. Attempting to help a constant victim actually doesn't help them. It enables their dependency. As Seneca, that great Stoic philosopher, once said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. But the constant victim is uninterested in growth or resilience. They're comfortable in their discomfort because it's how they get attention, sympathy, and an endless supply of rescuers. So, how do you break free from this draining dynamic? First, understand that it's not your responsibility to save someone who refuses to save themselves. Compassion doesn't mean sacrificing your own well-being to carry someone else's burdens indefinitely. You can offer guidance, but the moment you realize they're not willing to take responsibility for their own life, it's time to step back. Set boundaries. If they come to you for the same problem a 10th time, gently yet firmly remind them of what you have already advised. You can say, I've shared what I think might help, but it's up to you to take the next step. This shifts the responsibility back to them, where it belongs. Also, take your emotional energy into consideration. If you're constantly putting into someone who never takes action, then you'll find yourself depleted, and that's not fair on you or those other people in your life who may actually need your support. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The strength here is knowing when to let go of someone who's not willing to grow. Remember, being kind doesn't mean being someone's emotional crutch. Real help empowers others to stand on their own, not rely endlessly on your support. Ask yourself, are you truly helping them, or are you just helping them stay stuck? Once you see the difference, you'll know how to protect your own peace and guide them toward true self-reliance. Number 3, the user. This type of person is perhaps one of the most frustrating to deal with because their intentions are so one-sided. The user only reaches out when they need something from you, whether it's your time, your resources, your connections, or even just your emotional support. But when the tables are turned, and you're the one in need, they're nowhere to be found. The user looks at relationships in a transactional way. In the user's mind, you're not a friend, family member, or colleague. You're a means to an end. They're the people who call out of the blue, not to see how you're doing, but to say, hey, "Can you do me a favor?" And once you've done it, it's radio silence until they want something else. Sound familiar? For example, perhaps you have that one friend who's always borrowing things, be it money, your car, or even ideas, without ever giving anything back. Or someone at work who constantly asks you to help with their projects, but never gives credit when credit is due. They might even shower you with compliments in the moment, but deep down, you know it's just a strategy to get what they want. Worst of all, the user often cloaks their behavior in charm or flattery. They'll say things like, "Oh, you're so good at this, I don't know how you do it," or "You're the only one I trust to handle this." It feels good in the beginning, but over time you come to realize that their so-called admiration is nothing other than manipulation. So, how do you protect yourself from the user? First, realize that healthy relationships are reciprocal. As Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Of course, this is not referring only to material wealth, but to the richness of mutual respect and care in your relationships. If a person is always taking and never giving, that is not a relationship. That is an imbalance. Start setting boundaries. When they call asking for yet another favor, pause and ask yourself if they ever show up for you. If the answer is no, then don't say yes. You could say something like, "I'd be happy to help out, but I have a lot on my plate right now," or just, "I can't this time." Watch how they respond. An authentic individual will get it, but a user will probably run away or guilt-trip you into doing what they desire. Another important step: stop over-explaining yourself. You owe no one an explanation for why you can't meet their incessant demands. No is a complete sentence, and you're entitled to prioritize your own energy and peace. Finally, consider the people around you. Are they sticking with you through thick and thin, or do they only come out when it is convenient for them? A true friend won't view you as some sort of tool that can be used. He will view you as a fellow human being worthy of respect and help. Remember, you are neither an ATM for someone else's needs, nor a ladder for someone else to climb. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This includes knowing your worth and not letting others abuse it. Find the user, and you will take a huge step in surrounding yourself with only authentic and meaningful relationships. Number 4, the drama queen or king. Next on the list is the drama queen or king, and honestly, this person could make even the teeniest hassle feel like a big old disaster. They live entirely for chaos. It's their lifeblood. It's as if these people have a storm cloud following them around, and they will drop you right in the middle of the crazy mess of problems they are having, leaving you feeling all worn out and stressed out. But here is the thing about drama queens and kings. It's not that they have problems. We all do. It's just that they seem to enjoy chaos. Have you noticed how their life always has so much unrequired drama? The dramatic arguments, the over-the-top conflicts, the emergencies that always seem to occur at the worst of times, and when you try to give them the solution, they refuse. Why? Because they don't want solutions. They want attention. So, imagine that co-worker who is always whining about all the drama at work. They're always in the middle of some conflict, gossiping about who said what, and somehow they make it sound like you're the only one who can help them out. Or think about that friend who calls you at 2 a.m., all worked up over some minuscule fight with his or her partner, expecting you to drop everything to try and comfort them. That's such a drag, right? So here's the deal. Drama queens and kings know how to steal your emotions. They're leeches, sucking up all your time, energy, and focus, so you barely have any left for your own stuff. And you know what really sucks? The more you want to help them out, the deeper you get stuck in their crazy mess. It's almost like thinking you can calm a storm by jumping right into it. You just end up getting caught up in the chaos. So, how do you handle them? First of all, remember that their drama is not your job to sort out. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You don't have to get pulled into their messy, drama-filled energy just because they are inviting you. Keep your peace safe. Set boundaries, hard ones. When they come to you with their latest disaster, suppress the tendency to jump in. You can listen briefly if you want, but never become their solution finder. You might say something like, "I'm sorry this is happening with you, but I find myself in a position not able to help now." If they persist, you stand firm. You are not being rude. You are saving your energy. Another important thing is to stop giving in to the drama. Drama kings and queens love attention. When you give it to them, you're only adding fuel to the fire. Try not to get caught up in their antics and instead steer the conversation toward solutions, or just end it quickly. After a while, they will notice that you are not their emotional spotlight and will find another entertainer. So, take a minute to think over whether this person really brings anything good into your life. Relationships should lift you up, not bring you down. Ask yourself, do I feel better with this person around, or am I just worn out from their drama? If it's the latter, it may be time to cut back on seeing them or just move on completely. You know what Seneca says? Hang out with people who are going to make you better. But that drama queen or king, yeah, they're not going to help you out. They'll just drag you into their mess. And honestly, life's too short to get stuck in someone else's chaos. So guard your peace and focus on growing. Chill with people who bring calm, not drama. Number 5, the taker. You have probably run into this kind of person before. They are the ones who always seem to be looking for something, your time, your energy, your resources. But they hardly ever give anything back. Helping others is awesome, but with a taker, it never feels like a two-way street. It's just draining. Here is how to identify them. Takers will ring you only when they are in a jam or need a favor. They'll borrow your money, your car, or your advice. When the time comes to return the favor, radio silence. Or worse, excuses. It's not all about the material stuff either. Takers are equally skilled in draining your emotional energy. You listen to their problems for hours, but when you need support, they vanish, suddenly too busy or unavailable. The Stoics really emphasize how crucial balance is in our relationships. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." And, you know, sometimes a lopsided relationship can totally hold you back from growing. Being the one always giving while they just take is not only tiring you out, you're kind of helping them stay selfish and clingy. Remember that time when you felt absolutely used by someone? Maybe you stayed up all night helping a friend get ready for this huge job interview, and then it hits you how they never even bothered to ask how you were. Or how about when you helped a co-worker with their project, but when you needed help, they just acted like they didn't remember? It really hurts, right? So I'm not saying we should only give if we expect something back. Real generosity comes from the heart, you know. But when someone keeps taking and it becomes their thing, it's like a lifestyle. You have to start thinking, am I really helping out, or am I just being used? So how do you handle a taker? First of all, just see the relationship for what it is. Totally one-sided. It's okay to admit that this vibe is kind of unhealthy. Remember, setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's smart. As Seneca once said, hang out with people who are likely to make you better. Takers. They don't lift you up, they drain you. Next, you gotta learn to say no. If the person keeps bugging you to help them but never has your back, It's totally okay to say no. Try saying, "I wish I could help, but I'm focusing on other stuff right now." You owe nobody in this world your time all the time, especially when that person only takes and never gives. It is also equally important to reassess these relationships. Are they truly adding value to your life, or are they simply draining you? If it's the latter, think about distance or redefining the boundaries of that relationship. It does not mean to cut people off in anger. Rather, it means choosing relationships that are healthy, reciprocal, and uplifting. Focus finally on the people who appreciate your help the most. Those who respect your time, your effort, and your kindness. When you give to those who give you back, you create a circle of positivity and support. That's where your energy belongs. Hey, just remember, life is about balance. It's good to help others, but not at the cost of your well-being. Do not let those takers guilt trip you for wanting to protect your vibe. Save your kindness for people who appreciate it. Number 6, the enabler. Next on our list is the enabler. On the surface, this person may appear to be of great help, but at the same time, they are causing more harm than good to both themselves and the person they're trying to help. What makes the enabler unique is that they often truly think they're being compassionate. They feel like they're being supportive because they can just turn a blind eye to the destructive behavior, but it allows the destructive patterns to keep going. Here's how enabling works. Take someone close to you who is involved in some destructive behavior pattern, be it substance abuse, toxic relationships, or poor life choices. Instead of holding them accountable or urging them toward change, the enabler will offer a safety net to remove the consequences of those actions. They may give money to someone who's overspending recklessly or repeatedly bail out a friend who constantly creates chaos in their own life. While their intentions may be nice-laden, the truth is enabling only ensnares people in their struggles. Now, let's get real. We have all been tempted at one time or another to enable. It is painful to watch someone you love go through a hard time. You could be thinking, if I don't step in, who will? But here's the tough love. When you consistently rescue someone from his or her own consequences, you aren't helping him or her grow, you're keeping him or her stuck. That's what the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said. Difficulties are what show men's character. If you take away the difficulties, you're taking away his chance to develop resilience and strength. Think about it. If a child never learns to walk because a parent carries them everywhere, they'll never build the muscles needed to stand on their own. The same principle applies to adults. Enabling might feel like love in the short term, but in the long term it stunts growth and fosters dependence. So how do you know if you're dealing with an enabler or if you're being one yourself? Look for the patterns. Do they always seem to step in to rescue someone, even when it's clear the person needs to take responsibility for their actions? Do they avoid confrontation out of fear of being seen as unsupportive? Or perhaps you may have recognized this pattern in your own life. Have you ever said yes to someone when you knew deep down it wasn't helping them in the long run? It is not easy to break the enabling cycle, but it is necessary. First, one has to realize that true kindness is not about having no boundaries. It is about setting them. Setting limits does not mean that one does not care. Rather, it is a means of caring enough to allow a person to experience the natural consequences of an action. As Seneca says, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Sometimes allowing a person to live through a mistake is an act of courage from both sides. Here's an example. Suppose a friend asks for financial help because they're not able to take care of their money. You don't want to bail them out time after time. Instead, you may say, "I care about you, But I think it's time to address the root of the problem. Let's talk about creating a budget or finding someone who can help you with this. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it's far more loving than enabling a cycle that will only harm them in the long run. Or maybe the family member is in an abusive relationship. Perhaps rather than listening to them constantly complaining without making a change to get out, it would be better to say this: I'm here to support you if you decide to make a change, but I can't keep being part of this cycle. It's not abandoning, but it is empowering them to take responsibility for their own life. Being firm doesn't mean being harsh. You can set boundaries with compassion. Let them know you believe in their ability to overcome challenges, yet you won't participate in patterns that hold them back. And remember, enabling doesn't just harm the person you're helping, it drains you too. Your energy, time, and emotional capacity are finite. Choose to invest them in ways that create real growth, not stagnation. Ultimately, the concept of helping someone isn't to make them dependent on you. It's actually to point them toward independence, strength, and resilience. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength doesn't come from avoiding hardship, it comes from facing it. And the best thing you can do to help others is give them the tools and the courage to do just that. Number 7. The fair weather friend. And finally, we have the fair weather friend. This is the individual who's always there during good times, when you thrive, when you're successful, and when everything in your life seems to be going just right. They're quick to celebrate your wins, bask in your success, be part of your joy. But at that very point in life when things start to take a difficult turn, they don't show up. When you need them most, they vanish like smoke on the wind. Fair weather friends are recognizably easy to spot if you know what to look for. They're the ones who are all smiles at your parties, but are too busy when you're struggling. They'll join you happily for celebrations, but when you call them to talk about a difficult day, they suddenly don't have any time. When things aren't going well for you, they may even distance themselves, out of discomfort, not wanting to be dragged down by your challenges. It may not always be apparent because these fair weather friends can be very charming. They make you feel seen and appreciated when everything is going great. But when their absence becomes a pattern during hard times, the realization can be very painful. True friendship, however, is not just being there in the sunny days, but standing by in a storm. The Stoics teach us to nurture those relationships that are based on mutual respect and durability. Seneca said it best: friendship always benefits, love sometimes injures. A fair weather friend isn't a friend at all, but an acquaintance who enjoys the times you go through prosperity, but is gone with the first signs of trouble. True friends are lighthouses. They stay steady, guiding you through even the darkest storms. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you are going through one of life's biggest challenges. You lost a job, ended a relationship, or grapple with serious health issues. You reach out to a friend, hoping for support, or at least some words of kindness. Instead, all you get are excuses. "Oh, I'm so busy right now, I really wish I could talk." Or he ghosts you entirely. It's in these moments that you realize who's really got your back. Now, put that in contrast to a real friend. They'll answer your call even when they're in their own chaos. They'll call to check in on you, offer to help, and remind you you're not alone. They don't need you to be on top to value having you in their lives. And here's the thing. It is the depth of a relationship that's not measured by how someone acts when life is easy, but rather how they show up when it gets hard. So, how do you deal with fair weather friends? First of all, recognize what the dynamic is. It is not about hating them or resenting them. It's about understanding their limitation. They may not have that emotional capacity to hold space for you, and that's okay. But don't invest your energy in one-sided relationships that leave you feeling unsupported. Finally, work at maintaining a circle of people who care for you, people who show up for your wins and your losses. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, unless with a view to some mutual benefit. That is, surround yourself with people who will add value to your life, not subtract from it. Finally, set boundaries with fair-weather friends. If someone reaches out only when things are going great for you, take notice. You don't have to cut them off completely, but don't overexert yourself either. Protect your energy for those who truly deserve it. Here's a last thought. Life is unpredictable. We all have ups and downs, triumphs and trials, and as tempting as it is to surround ourselves with people who just wish to share in the highs, the friends that stick around during the hard moments are the ones who truly matter. They remind us of our strength and help us find our way back to the light. Those are the relationships worth preserving. Remember, friendship goes two ways. If someone only walks that path with you when the sun is shining, they don't deserve to share your umbrella when it rains. So there you have it, the 7 types of people you should think twice about helping. Keep in mind, it's not about closing yourself off to the world or withholding a kind heart. It's simply a matter of being purposeful with your energy, setting healthy limits, and ensuring that efforts extend toward relationships building you up, not tearing you down. Life's too short to be pouring into anyone who doesn't value and appreciate your generosity. Instead, build relationships that are strong, give and take, and based on mutual respect. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And I'd add it also depends upon the quality of the people you surround yourself with. Now it's my turn to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with anyone like the various types that we have discussed? Maybe there was a struggle against a manipulator, or perhaps having to set boundaries with a fair-weather friend. Share in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective and how you handled it. If you found this video helpful or thought-provoking, make sure to hit that like button. It helps more people discover this content. And don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Daily Compass for more insights like this. When you do, be sure to ring that notification bell so you never miss a video that can help you level up your mindset and live a more intentional life. Thank you so much for watching, engaging in this community, and striving to become the best version of yourself. With each other, the ups and downs in life can be faced with wisdom, strength, and resilience. See you in the next video. Take care, stay grounded, stay